Have you ever just been so bored of life that you need something absolutely awful to just judge it up, and to make you feel something deep in your soul? I'm talking just like absolute pain and misery. Well, I felt that way too, and that's why in 2024 I finally watched School Days. Now, I've been mulling over how to quickly describe School Days, and the only thing that I can think relative to like how to describe it and like say like a metaphor of such would be, have you ever watched like a car crash? Well, just multiply that by like 10 and light it on fire and then throw it all off a cliff or into a black hole. And I think you got about the feeling that School Days will give you. Now, School Days initially just starts as a simple love triangle kind of school life anime. And it's a guy and he likes a girl. And then there's another girl and this girl likes a guy, but she helps the guy get the other girl. You following me? Super simple, seems like it's going to be just like a basic drama. But then eventually we find out that the main character, he just can't get enough boning in. He's just gotta hump everything that moves, everyone that looks at him. He just needs to get his rocks off constantly, and he just is insatiable, as a lot of, high school guys seem to be. But he's not just insatiable. He's like the worst character of all time. Like, I can find no relation to this guy because he is just legit scum of the earth. He starts dating the girl that he likes, then decides, you know what, I don't really like her as much as I thought because she doesn't want to sleep with me right away. So then he goes over to the girl that helped him get that girl and decides he wants to sleep with her instead. You suck, my friend. And I just, I do think maybe his character is a little bit too realistic, because I've met the guys that just are kind of like serial cheaters, and they just keep fooling around, sleeping around, and they just act like, oh, woe is me. I've got so much bussy in my life. And that's exactly who Makoto, the main character, is. He's just absolute filth, and I was disgusted by him the whole way through. But the plot, as simple as it sounds, does take a very harsh turn at some point. I do want to quickly note a couple of the few things I did like watching School Days. I will say, even though it was very, very hard to find anything worth noting of likability in this anime, because every single moment I was just in the pit of my stomach in despair and cringe, trying not to just vomit all my feelings of rejection, of not wanting to consume any more of this. But I stayed committed to the 12 episodes, even with Makoto, the main character, just making every inch of my skin run a marathon. I did it for this video. And I will say that his character, even though is so viscerally dislikable to me and hopefully everybody else that watched School Days, I will say there is a good quality to that, because he is so dislikable that I almost feel like it made me want to watch more. Like I said, kind of like watching just a train go off the rails. You just can't really look away, because and he's almost a little bit different, because you want to see something bad happen to this guy because he is so awful. Can
you tell that I dislike him? Because I want to make sure you can tell I dislike him.
So I will say there was probably some good in how he was written, because of how like dislikable he is. He was always constantly like, oh, I don't want to deal with drama, while ultimately forcing himself into more and more drama throughout these 12 episodes. He somehow like got around to like 6 or 7 different girls throughout these 12 episodes. I'm like, how? What? Who are you? And so I think there is something to note in Makoto's character, even though I hate him so much. He was well written in that sense. He definitely achieved that goal. Now let's talk about everything I absolutely despise about School Days. So talking about the bad of School Days and things I dislike is like talking about how much I hate stubbing my toe or stepping on a Lego or getting a splinter. You're just you could go on about this anger for eons and eons. And I think School Days probably served that same effect, to me at least. And I'll tell you why. It's just that, again, every character just makes you want to just wrangle them. You don't know why they're doing the things they're doing. You don't know why anybody is interested in Makoto, because he is just so disgusting. He's like spoiled mashed potatoes, if you can even imagine that disgusting. And like, there's all these girls that are obviously got some good qualities to them, and they just flock to this guy like flies to crap. And I'm not really sure why, because there's no likable charm in this guy at all. Like, none of his dialogue is funny. He's not that cute. He's just dumb as bricks, and I just can't figure out the appeal. So that was infuriating. I'd say just a lot of the fan service kind of scenes where like it could be just a scene of like looking upskirt to a group of characters. Like, why is that there? Why do I need this? I don't need soft core right now. I just want to like find out like what happens to this thruple or I don't know, triangle relationship. But for some reason there's just fan service shots crammed in left and right, like right in front of my salad. And it's fine. I don't like that, but it's fine. Just we'll move past that part, right? The writing is pretty rough. Like, a lot of the characters' dialogue just not phenomenal. I just can't find the purpose and a lot of the drive of the characters. The animation style, no offense to the artist, but this animation style, especially where the characters have the massive eyes and just always like, ooh, like that style just absolutely turns my stomach. It's not for me. And it's really harsh around the edges. I can't get into anything that has it, really. I can't say other than that why else this is just so bad. Makoto being the sole factor and why anybody has interest in him is probably the driving force behind my hatred for School Days. I would be remiss to talk about School Days and not bring up the ending. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen School Days or haven't heard about the ending yet, you might want to go watch it and then come back to this part, or just, power through it. You're not going to be missing much, trust me. So the ending basically turns into one of the girls claims to be pregnant, and then he goes back to the original girl that he left, the girl he claimed actually like because she would put out for him. And then they get confronted. Everything kind of blows up. And then this girl that's claiming to be pregnant basically comes back, sends text to distract him, and then goes and just plunges a knife right into the core of Makoto. And I gotta tell you, that moment was pure bliss. That is the best payoff moment in most anime I've ever watched. It's like when Joffrey dies in Game of Thrones. You're just like, yes, it's just ultimate power mode is just consuming you. And then basically the other girl that was the initial interest, she comes back and takes that girl out, and then takes Makoto's head, puts it in his little duffel bag, and takes it onto a yacht that her family owns, and is just out at sea, and is cuddling the decapitated Makoto head. And that's kind of where it ends, as far as I know. I don't know if any of the other kind of content related to School Days says anymore or drags the story on anymore. I don't really care. That, for me, was probably the perfect cherry you could have put on top of a pile of turd. What are my final thoughts about School Days? Yes, School Days did kind of live up to the hype, if you will, or the hatred hype. I don't really know what to call it. It is absolutely as infamous as it has been talked about on the internet, especially when the ending is being considered mostly. And I think in that regard, I had to give it a few points for myself as a viewer. I think I would never recommend this to really anybody unless you're just kind of like looking to watch something similar to Ghost Stories or something like that, where you're just looking for the bad and maybe it has a couple highlight moments that stand out. Maybe I'd recommend that to you. Or if I just wanted to meme someone and waste their time, oh man, School Days is perfect for you. If I had to rate this out of 10, you're getting a solid 3 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I don't care. That's as good as I'm rating it. I think the ending is probably what carried all 3 of those points. So good job on the ending. Yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope to never watch School Days again. Hope you never watch it again. And until next time, bye.